Anyways, this is going to be a very different kind of video. I belong to a lot of different support groups on Facebook, not just for blindness. I'm known because of my blindness. I'm known because of a bit of my story, but blindness has not been some of the biggest things that have happened to me. I'm going to be talking about my take of living with chronic illness and living with multiple diseases. I'm not sharing it to try and get pity from people. I'm not sharing it to try and, get some kind of movement or anything like that. I'm sharing it because I want to really encourage other people who are they're in the same scenario as me. Recently, there was a study done, and I'm going to have another video about this, because if you live with chronic illness, you're probably going to be considered disabled in Canada. There's still a lot of discrimination in Canada against disability. There's more discrimination, and like I said, there is a graph that was done by Human Resources that I am going to get for another video. So by their own graph, there's more discrimination against people living with disabilities than there is based on people's gender and people's race. And the reason a lot of people who are disabled don't speak out about it is because you get tired of being hurt. So this is my video. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that Hollywood romanticizes the idea of being chronically ill. Like, they always show these videos where, this person, they're going to die of a disease, and, they get their last wish, and they always have people around them who are always like super supportive 100% of the time. They have that one person that loves them through thick and thin. That's not the way a lot of it works. There's a lot of burnout that happens in chronic illness, because usually in a family there's usually like one or two people who will take up caretaking for the sick individual, sometimes not even that. And there's burnout. They just get tired. They don't get tired of caring, they don't get tired of helping, they just get tired because they have to live their life and then help this other person live their life. And I try and live as independently as I possibly can, but I do have a lot of illnesses and things that just really don't, they don't help my situation in trying to be independent. There is burnout. People get tired. And you as a disabled person, you get tired. You get tired of saying something hurts every day. You feel like you're going to be a burden on people. You feel like people are not going to understand you. You feel like people are going to start judging you. And we live in a society that if they can't see it, they don't believe it. So I live with SLE lupus. There are 4 types of lupus. I'm not going to get into all the scientifics of that. SLE is considered the worst type of lupus. You can live with it if you are prescription responsive. I am not prescription responsive. My body will not respond to medication. They'll keep putting the medication higher and higher and higher, and it doesn't help my living situation. So for me, I had to try and find an alternative course. And so then that means that those extra vitamins, those extra alternative courses that I take are a little bit more expensive. And that can play a big role in everything as well. Because if you're disabled, you usually do not have full-time work. I don't have full-time work. Blindness does not help that. I do know people who have lupus. They have different types of lupus, and they do have work. But there's still a lot of costs that go along with that. So, and stuff like that. So I have lupus. I have rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is damaging to the joints. It's inflammation based. So with mine, I actually have severe permanent damage in my shoulders, which makes it difficult for me to wash my hair. It's painful for me to get dressed. If I have to try on clothing, I can only try on maybe 2 outfits. So when I get dressed in the day, I have my one outfit I put on in the morning, and that's the one that I'm wearing all day. And it made it really hard when we were wedding dress looking, because there are still a lot of wedding dresses that go on over the head, and I didn't talk about it a lot when it was happening because I had other things going on, but I took my mom, and my mom understood. So my mom was very good at helping me, trying to figure out a way for us to do it, to try on wedding dresses and stuff, but it was still hard because you still felt discouraged at the end of the day that, you know, you're so tired, and you want it to do more, right? I would have to say that's the biggest complaint about people who live with chronic illness, is they want to do more. They want to do more than their body lets them, and that can be very discouraging. I'm only 29 years old, and I feel like I'm somebody who's 86. So I've learned tricks. For instance, toothpaste tubes are the worst to try and open with arthritic hands. They are the worst, and it doesn't help. So if you have arthritis in your hands, rheumatoid arthritis, you also have a lot of swelling. So I have a new bird. You might get to meet her. Hi, Toffee. You're interrupting my video. If you have arthritis in your hands, rheumatoid arthritis in your hands, you will have a lot of swelling. So when you have to grip something, that is actually painful because it's swollen. So a trick I learned about my toothpaste tube is once it's open, I put Vaseline around the outside of like where the toothpaste, where the lid screws on. I put Vaseline along there. So then you don't have to screw it on tight to seal it, because that Vaseline also helps as a sealant, but it also keeps it loose. If you don't want to use Vaseline, you can also use different types of cooking oil, but you have to remember that you do need to keep washing off the oils and the Vaseline and reapplying, because bacteria can also stick to those as well. So that's a little tip that really works for me. And I live with multiple diagnoses, so that's another thing too. Usually people who have a disease, their body, because it's not working properly, they usually start acquiring more diseases. I'm sorry about my bird. And they start acquiring more diseases. And so for me, I have SLE lupus, I have rheumatoid arthritis, I have fibromyalgia, I have, of course, mental health, I have quinism, I have malabsorption disorder, I have Reynolds, I have chronic bronchitis, I also have 2 heart issues. I can't remember what they're called, like some pericarditis something, and then thickening of the muscle walls of the heart, and I also have more. And, you know, when people get to know you, I don't tell people everything that's wrong with me, because people don't usually believe you. They think, oh, okay, yeah. You know, the same with a lot of people just really have a lot of stigmas towards someone who's disabled. And that's what makes it even harder. My life is hard enough. It really is. My life is hard enough dealing with all of these things without added people into it. So I think most people who are disabled keep their circles small, not because they're rude, not because they're snobby, but because, you know, just because you know my name does not mean you deserve to be in my circle, because I don't know if you're going to hurt me, if you're going to be rude to me, if you're going to hurt me. I've had problems in the workplace. Like, I don't look sick, okay? I lose a lot of hair, and I've never been bald, though. I've never been bald, but I lose a lot of hair. And even right now, I have a bald spot, this little bald spot. I did my part, so it kind of looks like it's on purpose, like the part, but yeah, I have a bald spot. You know, but other than that, really, I don't look that sick from the outside, you know? Like, another thing, Hollywood makes people who have chronic illness, they make them look like they're almost dead, you know? I look just as normal as anyone else, pretty much. I'm probably a little bit overweight, but I look just like everyone else. It's almost impossible to tell that I live with all these diseases. And because of that, you get discrimination in the workplace. I've had that before. I've had fellow employees be really, really ignorant to me, just because I don't know why. Really don't. I don't. I've had people think that they make decisions on my behalf. They think that I can't do something, or they have made up in their own mind what I can and cannot do, and then they treat me according to that. And that is really, really frustrating in and of itself. I've been left out of things. I've been left out of just different activities because people thought, oh, she's going to be too tired. Well, I still like to be invited. I still like to be included. You know, it doesn't hurt my feelings to invite me to something I cannot go. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It hurts my feelings that you didn't invite me, right? And it doesn't get easier as you're an adult. Like, I know that sounds really teenager-ish, like high school, but even as an adult, it's still frustrating and annoying that other people think, oh, have your best interest at heart. Sorry. No, the only person who really can have my best interests at heart is really only me, because I'm the only one who's living with this right now. It also plays a huge role in your marriage. It really, really affects your marriage. Like I said, there's that burnout. And my husband, when we were together, we're still together, okay? We've been, if you've been following my story, we got separated because of this virus, this pandemic that's going on. I had to come back to Canada for paperwork and health issues, and I was not able to get back to him. So we are still together maritally, but like when we were living in the same house, you know, he was stuck. There were days that he had to come home from work and he had to wash dishes. We didn't have a dishwasher. We had to wash dishes by hand. We had no running hot water. We had no, we didn't have a clothes washing machine or a dryer. So all that had to be done by hand. So he would have to come home from work. He had to get up at 3 for work. He would come home from work. He would sometimes have to get that done. You know, and it really, really puts a strain on your marriage. It doesn't matter how good you are together, it still puts a strain, because like I said, there's that burnout. You know, if you have someone who's constantly physically tired, not even considering emotionally tired, just physically tired, that's going to put a lot of stress in emotions. And if you're able to work it out that you have a caretaker come in, or you can pay somebody once a week to come in and help with laundry or like a deep cleaning of the house, I really recommend that you do that, because I think it just would help. It just would help, you know. And like I said, I know that that's not feasible for a lot of people who have disability because you don't have the income. But if you're a friend of somebody who's watching this, if you could volunteer and say, hey, you know what? Once a week, I would love to do your laundry for you. And that might seem really awkward. People are really private, and you could say to them, you know, I just want to help you out. I know living with a chronic disease is very energy taking, but I want to do something to help you. And just doing that once a week could help. And could you imagine if you had like 10 friends who volunteered to do something a day? Like one person say, you know what, every Monday I'm going to come in and I'm going to just help clean up your kitchen. You know, I'm just going to give it a good scrub down for you. And, you know, like that helps, you know. Being a woman, I think women are a little bit tidier than men. My husband is OCD, so he likes, like if he's cleaning stuff, deep clean. He will deep clean. But, you know, for me, I like, when it's my kitchen, I like things to be scrubbed down, like walls, everything, you know. I like it to get a good deep cleaning every now and then. Obviously not every day, but every now and then. And, you know, like I said, that can just help a ton. You know, just different things like that. Another take about living with chronic illness is it's hard being the person who's sick, but it's also hard for the people who are having to watch. And that really makes it difficult because family members, they try to support. I've seen more damage done by people trying to be supportive than people who don't support. And That doesn't mean stop supporting. That means just find out how you can support them. Ask them, hey, what is something different that would really help you? When you're trying to make decisions for them, that's not helping, because that feels like you're taking away their freedom. So when someone decides for me what I can and cannot do, what they're actually doing is they're taking away my freedom as an individual. Another thing that does is it makes me feel like you don't believe in me and my abilities and you're undermining me. And that makes me feel really insignificant and really small, and it really hurts me. And I know it comes from a good place. I know it's coming from a place of love that you want to help to protect, you want to help to support, you want to help, but it's not helping emotionally. It's really not helping. It's tearing things down. And then also too, the emotional ride of things. So a lot of diseases are dealt with pretty serious meds. And those meds can really affect you emotionally. And I've been on that side where I was on some medication that just really, really altered emotions. And it is so hard because the smallest thing, like it's insignificant, it's really just an insignificant thing, and it's enough to throw you over a cliff. Like you're just like, you know. Or my initial response to everything is I just get like really angry. Like my first initial response is like, you know, and I've learned to tone it back. I've learned, you know, to try and not respond right away because I know that it's just going to come out the wrong way, and to think about things and everything like that. But it's still hard living like that. It's still hard living like you don't feel like you're a human being. You know what I mean? You're like, there's an alien inside me taking over my emotions. You know, so I don't know if this is really encouraging or supporting or anything at all. But it's a glimpse of what I kind of live with. And a lot of people, this is one more thing. A lot of people think those who are disabled and on some kind of pension or disability, that they're lazy, they're taking advantage of the system, they're putting a financial strain on the system. None of that is actually true, because the amount of funds that is given for that is not as great as a lot of other funds that are being doled out, especially in Canada. Also too, there is no magic thousands. People on disability are not swimming in thousands, and you might say, well, they look like, you know, whatever. The only way it really works is if you're living with family that's letting you live there for free and providing all the stuff that you need for free. And even a lot of families aren't even well enough to have a dependent on them, you know, that they can care for all their needs like that. But if someone's on a disability, there is not this magical thousands that they're receiving. If they're trying to do something with their life, if they're trying to go to school, if they're trying to get a different career, there's no way. There's no way that they have, you know, because I was that person. I was trying to advance my musical career, and I was at a really high level in music. And I was paying that. I was paying for exams, paying for books, paying for gas to get there. I had my own bills to pay, like I paid room and board, different things like that. So if I needed a new pair of shoes, I actually had to save up and then go buy someone's used pair at a secondhand store. And even if I wasn't furthering my education, you still have all your normal bills to pay. So it's not like, if you see someone who's on disability who has brand new clothes, brand new shoes, probably those are a gift, or they've actually saved up for months to get that. Okay. And people have this mentality that if you're poor, you deserve it, because obviously if you're poor, you've made poor decisions. Sometimes people are just poor because that's life. Some of the hardest working people I know are those who are poor. They're like the hardest working people I know, most honest people I know. So our society really does live in a very, very judgmental society still, like very, very much so. We like to think as people, you know, we've adapted with the times, and we've grown in our philosophy, and we've widened and broadened our mindset. But in reality, really, we haven't. There hasn't been a mindset that's changed, you know, since like the 1800s. People still have the same mentality as the 1800s, and it makes it difficult. There are people who think that I should be sitting at home and be content to sit at home. That's what people think. And I'm not that type of personality. I can't just sit at home. I like to go out. I like to do things. I like to be active. I want a full-time job. I want to support myself, you know, and it can be really difficult sometimes. And like I said, there's a lot of discrimination. Like, I think the amount of discrimination people would be shocked with. I've had people treat me and my mother rudely at the store, and a lot of times they'll treat you different because they think you're a little person, there's nothing you can do, right? And a lot of times you're just so, when an incident like that happens, you're so emotionally distressed that you can't even push it further. We talked to a specialist in the States, my mom did, and we believe that my blindness has come from a medication I was on that was treating my lupus. There is a lawsuit in place going against this pharmaceutical. They're gathering, you know, information and stuff to do a hefty lawsuit. But I told my mom, I said, I am too emotionally drained to do that, because I would have to go back and get records and files and all of this, and I just don't emotionally have the strength. And you might say, well, why do people get away with being so discriminatory to people with disabilities? Because emotionally we don't have the strength. We need somebody to stand up for us and say, this is not right, this needs to stop, you need to change how you treat people. And it doesn't happen. No one wants to risk their own livelihood and their own job for somebody else. And that's totally fine. That's not anyone's responsibility. There are agencies that say that they do that, but of course, they want a huge payout. And again, how is that fair? How is that right? You know, talk about targeting people with disabilities. There are a lot of technology and devices out there for people with disabilities, but again, those cost a lot of money. It's often too expensive to do that. So anyways, I hope this was a little bit of an insight to the world of the disabled. I am planning on actually doing more videos in the future where I discuss each of my issues, how I'm affected, the symptoms, and the possible treatments and medications that I do. I hope this gets up today. Like, I filmed it on December 17th. I hope I get it up today. I don't know. I hope so. Thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to reach 500 subscribers. I can't even believe I made it to 300 subscribers. The whole reason I started my YouTube channel was to try and help other people, and I hope I'm doing that. I hope that I'm able to provide some help and inspiration to those who need it. There are a lot of people today who are really hurting. There are a lot of people today who really need to know they're not alone. And I really hope that my YouTube channel does that. That it's there for people who need it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.